A small town in California, barely visible on the map. But locals say there's a story hidden here that's 30 years old. An old elementary school, closed since 1993. Outside the school, a faded signboard still hangs. Letters have fallen off, and with the wind, that old board makes a creepy sound. The town elders say the school closed because of a fire. A fire that devoured the entire building at night. News reports at the time said it was an accident. But those who witnessed that night tell a completely different story. A local woman, who was a 12-year-old student then, still says she heard children screaming in the classrooms before the fire. She says, "It wasn't just fire. It was something inside, something waiting for us." Think, why would a little girl say such a horrifying line? When the school closed, only one report was published in the Sacramento Chronicle. It read, "Fire kills 7 students in abandoned school." But town records say that on that day, a total of 14 students were inside the school. Meaning, records of 7 students do not exist anywhere. No names, no death certificates. And their bodies were never found. And the strangest thing, the records of the parents of those 7 students were gradually erased too. As if they had never been in town. A retired police officer says the case was deliberately closed. And those officers who opposed it, they also disappeared. A janitor, who was on duty at the time, says, "After the fire, I saw something. Children's handprints on the walls, but they were in fresh red color on the burned wall." The janitor says some of those handprints were not human-sized. And since then, he never set foot inside the school again. Other townspeople say that inside the school, at night, the laughter of those 7 missing children still echoes. A truck driver, driving from Fresno to Sacramento, stopped by the roadside near the school to rest. He says, "I clearly saw a small silhouette looking out from a classroom window. But when I took a photo, there were 7 different faces in the window. And one of those faces didn't look human at all." When the photo went online, the internet named it the California Ghost School. But the most disturbing thing was the note behind the photo. A note the driver never wrote. The note had only one sentence, "We never left." Now think, who wrote the note behind the photo? Another twist worth noting. The clock inside the school still works. And it always stops at the same time. 2:47 a.m. The exact time when the fire happened. But locals say, if someone stands inside the school at 2:47, they hear the children's laughter. And then their time gets stuck there. A college student, out of fear, did this. And he had a camera with him. The camera clearly showed. His shadow stopped moving with him. And a few seconds later, he too disappeared from there. Footage from that night still circulates on the internet. But authorities say it's fake. But the question is, if the footage is fake, then what about the student's missing report? And the biggest thing, in the school attendance register, under his name, it still says in red ink, "Present." A paranormal investigation team has specially come from Los Angeles. They have EMF detectors, spirit boxes, and night vision cameras. Their mission is simple: spend the entire night inside the school and see whether the sounds people hear are real or just rumors. The team has 4 members: Mark, Jennifer, Chris, and Leah. They have previously explored haunted motels and abandoned prisons. But this case is their riskiest assignment yet. Mark says, "Locals say this school is a trap. If we come back alive, we'll bring the truth to light." As the team crosses the main gate, a strange silence surrounds them. Outside, the cricket chirping is clearly audible. But as soon as they cross the gate, all sounds vanish. Only a faint humming, as if a child is singing a rhyme. Leah says, Guys, you hear that lullaby too, right? The rest of the team freezes, because everyone hears the same tune. The gymnasium hall is their first stop. In the darkness, their torch falls on an old basketball court. A ball lies in the corner. Jennifer laughs and says, "Who knows, maybe a kid left it here." But as soon as she says this, the ball starts rolling on its own and stops right at their feet. Camera operator Chris panics and says, "Guys, is someone playing a prank?" Everyone checks around, but the hall is completely empty. Jennifer picks up the ball, and as soon as she touches it, a burn mark appears on her hand. 7 clear fingerprints, as if someone had grabbed her hand. Leah screams, "Drop it." The ball falls to the ground, and this time it bounces on its own, as if a child is playing with it. The cameras are all recording. But the strangest thing is that in the footage, they only see the ball playing with some invisible force. The burn marks on Jennifer's skin gradually glow red, as if the marks are glowing from inside. Mark panics and turns on his spirit box, and suddenly a child's voice is recorded. "We are still here." At the same moment, on the bleachers at the other side of the gym, a silhouette stands. A small figure in a white shirt, but its face is blurred. The camera zooms in, and suddenly the silhouette vanishes. The team decides to explore the cafeteria next. There, the tables are dusty, trays are scattered, and on one tray there is still a half-eaten sandwich, as if someone left it yesterday. Chris says, "This is impossible. Even after so long, the food looks fresh." Jennifer takes photos, and when the flash goes off, for a second, a child appears next to the tray. But when the flash turns off, there's nothing there. Leah says, "Guys, I feel like someone is playing with us. This place is alive." And then, the clock inside the cafeteria starts ringing. The clock shows 2:47 a.m. The same time when everything had stopped before. And at the same moment, a child's scream echoes throughout the cafeteria. Jennifer drops her camera, and everyone runs toward the sound. But in the corner, there is only a broken chair. And on that chair is written, "You can't leave." Seeing that line written in the cafeteria, the team's confidence shakes. Mark says, "This can't be real. This has to be a prank." But as soon as he touches the chair, he suddenly feels a freezing sensation on his hand, as if someone grabbed his pulse and stopped his blood. Leah screams and pulls his hand back, and sees that Mark's fingers have turned blue. Everyone realizes this is not a prank. This place is alive. The team decides to leave the cafeteria and check the classrooms. The first stop, the science lab. As they push the lab door, it opens by itself, and a chemical smell wafts out. Jennifer says, "This is impossible. How can chemicals stay active for so many years?" Inside the lab, on a blackboard, something is written in white chalk. The handwriting looks like a child's, and the message reads, "We failed the test." The camera zooms in, and a red drop falls on the blackboard, like a drop of fresh blood. Everyone steps back in fear. But Leah notices something else. Under the benches, small scratch marks, as if children carved them with their nails. And from those scratches, one word repeats. "Help, help, help." Chris says, "Guys, I think these kids never had a chance to escape." Then their EMF device jumps into the red zone, and the spirit box emits a distorted voice. Class is still on. After the voice, a bench moves on its own and crashes directly into the wall. Glass bottles shatter, and a toxic smell fills the air. Leah says, "We need to get out, now." But as she reaches the door, it automatically shuts. Everyone panics, and camera operator Chris shouts loudly, "Who are you?" The spirit box replies, "We are 7. The team looks at each other, the same 7 missing kids, who were never recovered. Jennifer, crying, says, "They never left this building." And then, a small figure appears in the corner of the lab. A child, in a white shirt, holding a burnt teddy bear. The camera focuses on him, and his face gradually becomes visible. Half burned, half smiling. But the most disturbing thing, his eyes are completely black. The child looks directly at the camera and says, "Don't leave before class ends." And immediately, all the lab lights turn on one by one, as if the whole class is about to start. Mark says, "We need to get out now." The team tries to break the door, but when they step outside, they find themselves back inside the cafeteria, as if the school is looping them. Jennifer cries and says, "We never left the cafeteria." And at that moment, the cafeteria clock starts showing 2:47 again. All the members standing inside the cafeteria are in shock. Jennifer keeps crying, repeatedly saying, "We just left this place. How did we come back?" Mark's face turns pale. He says, "Guys, I think we're trapped. The school isn't letting us leave." The clock ticks again, and stops exactly at 2:47. A little girl's laughter echoes in the hall, suddenly loud and closer. Leah takes out her recorder and says, "Who are you? What do you want from us?" There's static on the recorder, and then a distorted answer comes. "Stay, play with us, forever." Everyone freezes. Chris's camera suddenly glitches, and the screen records footage like another dimension. The same cafeteria, but dozens of kids are sitting, eating at the tables, yet all their faces are blurred, and all their eyes are pitch black. Jennifer screams, "Stop it. This isn't real." But the footage is clearly recording. And one child looks directly at the camera and whispers, "Join us." The screen blinks, and the footage vanishes. The team decides they should now go to another wing of the school. Maybe they'll find an exit. They enter a long hallway. The paint on the walls has peeled, and scratches sound from inside the lockers. Leah slowly opens a locker, and inside sits a child, covering their face with their knees. Everyone steps back in fear. But when the torch falls on them, the locker is empty. Only a small drawing is left inside, made with crayon. The drawing shows a classroom, where kids sit in a circle without a teacher, and a black shadow stands in the center. Jennifer says, "Guys, this is the ritual locals were talking about." Chris, shaking, says, "So the kids were intentionally sacrificed?" And then another locker slams shut by itself. This time inside hangs a bloody school uniform. The name tag on the uniform reads, Sarah. Mark is shocked. He says, "Sarah. She was one of the missing kids." Leah says, "So she wasn't missing. She was kept here." Everyone panics and quickly crosses the hall. Suddenly the lights flicker, and at the end of the hallway, a child is standing. Their face is completely burned, but the smile is disturbingly wide. They look directly at them and say, "Principal will be here soon." Everyone looks at each other. Principal? So the story isn't over yet. There's another powerful presence here. And at that moment, the hallway bell rings, exactly like the school bell. And a voice loudly echoes, "Class dismissed." Everyone thinks maybe now there's a chance to escape. But when they open the hallway door, They are standing back inside the cafeteria again. And the clock has stopped at 2:47 once more. All the members standing in the cafeteria feel hopeless. Jennifer, crying, says, "This loop will never end, we're going to die here." Mark tries to console her. But the fear is clearly visible in his own eyes as well. The clock ticks again, and stops at 2:47. And this time, not just one child's scream, but the collective voices of dozens of kids echo. "He is coming." Leah freezes. "He? Who?" Suddenly, the door at the other end of the cafeteria opens by itself. And an old wooden cane clacks on the floor. From a dark corner, a tall shadow appears. The silhouette is of an adult, wearing a suit, holding a long cane. Chris zooms the camera, and on the screen, it clearly reads, "Principal's office." Jennifer whispers, "Principal, oh my God, he never left." The shadow slowly moves toward them. But its face is completely blacked out, as if erased. Only one terrifying detail is visible. Its eyes glow blood red. The cane hits the floor. And the screams of children echo throughout the cafeteria. Suddenly all the tables violently shake, trays fall to the floor. And an invisible force pushes the team against the walls. Mark screams, "What do you want from us?" The shadow pauses, and a horrifying deep voice echoes, "Class is never over." After that voice, everyone is hit with a flashback vision. In front of them, the cafeteria transforms. Clean, bright lights, children sit at the tables. And a tall principal walks among them, with a cane. He forces the children to repeat a ritual. A chant mixing English and Latin. And any child who resists, he strikes with the cane and throws into the corner. Jennifer screams, "Oh God, this is the reason. The kids were sacrificed here." The vision instantly vanishes. And the cafeteria plunges back into darkness. Leah panics and says, "We need to break the curse to get out. Otherwise this loop will last forever." Chris says, "But how? We're just investigators, not priests." Mark notices something, an old notice board on the wall. Pinned to the board is a paper, which reads, "Final exam, only the worthy may graduate." Everyone is confused. Jennifer says, "So we're being tested too? If we fail, we'll become part of this place as well?" And then the principal's shadow strikes the cane on the floor. And all the lights suddenly go out. Only a faint light glows in the corner of the cafeteria. And there lies an old report card. The report card reads, "New students." And it lists Mark, Jennifer, Chris, Leah. All names written in clear handwriting. And the remarks have only one word, pending. Leah screams, "Oh my God. We've become students of this school too." The children's laughter in the cafeteria grows louder. And the clock, once again, shows 2:47. The team is in shock after seeing the report card. Jennifer screams, "Does pending mean we've survived? Or are we the next victims?" Mark's voice trembles. "No, it means we're about to take the test." And as soon as he says these words, the cafeteria floor suddenly starts shaking. Lights flicker, and suddenly the entire place fills with children's desks, forming a proper classroom. Everyone is forcefully seated at separate desks. Invisible hands push them into place. Chris says, "I can't move. This desk is holding me." The blackboard at the front illuminates, and a tall shadow appears before it. The principal, with red glowing eyes, striking the cane on the floor. On the blackboard, a line writes itself, without chalk. "Final exam begins now. Leah cries and says, "We are not students. This is all fake." The principal's voice echoes, deep and distorted. "Once you enter, you are ours." Suddenly, exam papers appear in front of everyone. Old-style sheets, but the ink still looks fresh. Mark freezes as he looks at his paper. The paper contains no normal questions. Only horrifying choices. Sacrifice one of your team members, or all of you die. Jennifer screams. No, this isn't a test, it's a trap. Chris's paper is different. It reads, "Reveal your darkest secret, or your heart will stop." His face turns pale. He slowly confesses, I once left an intern to die at a haunted place. I could have helped, but I ran away." As he confesses, the chains on his desk loosen slightly. Leah's paper reads, "Choose your family's life or your own." She cries and says, "I'll save my family. Let me die." And as she speaks, blood starts seeping on her paper. And the words appear. Accepted. Jennifer's paper is the most disturbing. You must decide now, Mark or Chris. One must become part of this school forever. Jennifer begins screaming, "No! Don't make me do this." And at that moment, the principal strikes the cane on the desk. And a child's voice echoes, "Choose, or we will choose for you." The room's temperature suddenly drops. Everyone's breath becomes visible. Mark, in a desperate voice, says, "Jennifer, don't. This is their game." Jennifer cries, but the words on the paper begin to glow brightly, as if a decision must be made immediately. And at the same moment, the clock strikes. 2:47. Everything freezes. And a final line appears on the blackboard. Test continues until the bell rings. Everyone realizes they are trapped in a looped exam. And each round is designed to break them. The classroom falls into complete silence. Everyone is trapped at their desks. And only the sound of the clock echoes. 2:47, tick, tick, freeze. And then, a desk scrapes on its own. And a small chair appears in an empty space. And on that chair, a child sits down. White uniform, half-burned face. And completely black eyes. Leah says, "Oh God, that's the same child we saw in the lab." But now, the child is not alone. One by one, more chairs start to appear. 7 in total. And on each chair, a child sits. All with half-burnt, distorted, or blank faces, as if erased. Jennifer whispers, "These are the missing students?" The collective voices of the children echo. "You are one of us now." Chris panics and says, "No! We're alive. We don't belong here." A girl, burnt on one side and with an innocent smile on the other, looks directly at Chris and says, "But you already left one to die. You've always been with us." Chris's face freezes. The spirits already know the secret of his confession. Mark, in a desperate tone, says, "Listen, we came to help you. You are trapped. You need to be released." But the children's voices grow louder. Overlapping, haunting. No escape, just join, join, join. Suddenly, a child rises from their desk and moves directly toward Jennifer. They grab her hand, and her skin instantly becomes pale and wrinkled, as if her life is being drained. Jennifer screams, "Help me! They're pulling me in." Mark tries to stand, but an invisible force pins him in place. Leah desperately prays, "God, please save us." And suddenly, a child's face distorts and screams, "God never came here." The blackboard begins to write on its own. New classmates. And below that list, all the team's names are written again. And now remarks appear next to their names. Chris, guilty. Jennifer, weak. Leah, faithless. Mark, leader. Broken. Everyone realizes this exam is exposing their secrets and fears. And the more they resist, the closer they get to the spirits. Jennifer's voice cracks. Please, you just want to be released, right? Tell me how. A child whispers directly into her ear. Break the bell. Jennifer is shocked. Bell? The cafeteria clock? And at that moment, the principal's tall shadow appears at the back of the classroom. He says in a loud, echoing voice, "No cheating in my class." And suddenly, all the desks violently shake. Books and papers fly into the air. And the spirits of the children surround them. Their black eyes, and their single chant. Stay, forever, stay, forever. The clock ticks again, and the needle stops at 2:47. The classroom is completely chaotic. Books fly through the air, papers flutter like they're on fire. And the children's black eyes are fixed on everyone. Jennifer, still trembling, whispers, "We have to break the bell, or we'll never get out." Mark grits his teeth and says, "Then we'll go back to the cafeteria and destroy that clock." Leah panics and says, "You think it will be that easy? The principal is always one step ahead of us." And as she says this, the principal's shadow stretches at the back of the classroom. Red eyes and the loud clack of the cane echo. He says in a booming voice, "The bell is sacred. No student passes without my permission." Suddenly all the desks collapse at once. And the team falls directly to the floor. The floor cracks, and they fall into a basement-like area. The basement is dark. Only a faint greenish glow emanates from the wall. Chris turns on his camera, and through the lens, dozens of broken clocks are visible, all stuck at 2:47. Jennifer is shocked. Oh my God, this isn't just one clock. It's the anchor of the entire school. Mark realizes. That's why we're trapped in a loop. Everywhere it's 2:47, as long as these clocks exist. The curse won't break. Leah cries. So we have to destroy them all? And at that moment, a child's figure appears in front of one of the clocks, saying, "Stop them." Dozens of spirits suddenly crawl out of the darkness. With half-burnt, half-erased faces. Their bodies are twisted, and they crawl rapidly toward the team. Chris drops his camera and tightly grips his flashlight, shining it on one spirit's face. The spirit screeches and recoils. Mark realizes. Light, it hurts them. Everyone turns on their flashlights and the spirits temporarily retreat. Jennifer grabs a clock and smashes it on the floor. The clock breaks, and a chilling scream echoes throughout the basement. Leah says, "One's broken. Now the others need to go." But as they attempt to break another clock, the principal's shadow stretches from the wall and lands directly among them. The cane strikes the floor, and all the flashlights fuse at once. Darkness. And within the darkness, only the principal's red eyes glow. He says in a booming voice, "You break, you join." Suddenly Jennifer's body freezes, and she is lifted mid-air. Her eyes turn black, as if she is gradually transforming into one of the missing children. Mark screams, "No! Fight it, Jennifer. Don't let him take you." Leah prays desperately, "God, please, please save her." And suddenly, a faint child's voice echoes. The bell, only the main bell matters. Jennifer collapses to the floor, unconscious. Mark realizes. All the clocks in the basement are a distraction. The real anchor is the cafeteria bell. Chris, breathing heavily, says, "So we have to go back to the cafeteria and destroy the main bell." But when they look up, the basement exit has vanished, and only a blood-written message glows on the wall. Graduation is near. The clock ticks. 2:47. The silence in the basement grows heavy. Jennifer lies unconscious on the floor. Mark shakes her. "Jen, wake up. Stay strong." Her chest slowly rises. She's alive. But black veins begin appearing under her eyes. Leah whispers, "She's changing. The principal is making her his own." Chris panics and says, "How do we reach the cafeteria without getting out of the basement?" The exit has vanished. Then the blood-written message on the wall slowly changes. "Graduation ceremony, follow the path." And a dark corridor cracks open between the walls. Mark picks up a flashlight and says, "We have no choice, we have to follow this path." The team carries Jennifer forward. The corridor stretches endlessly. Children's handprints are smeared on the walls. Some in blood, some in black ash. Leah, in a shaky voice, says, "These are the students' signatures. Like they were forced to march here." Chris records with his camera, and through the lens, faint silhouettes of children clearly appear marching with them. But to the naked eye, the corridor seems completely empty. Suddenly, a loud bell rings. Not the cafeteria bell, but a graduation-style bell. And in front of them, a massive hall opens. A stage is set, chairs are lined up, as if students are seated for a graduation ceremony. And on each chair, a child spirit sits. All wearing black graduation gowns, their faces covered with blank white masks. Jennifer comes to her senses and says in shock, "Oh God, this is their graduation, the ceremony that never ended." In the center of the stage is a podium, and behind it stands the principal. His tall shadow looks even more horrifying. His eyes glow blood red, and his cane taps on the stage. He says in a loud, echoing voice, "Welcome, new students. Tonight, you graduate." And suddenly, all the spirits begin clapping together. But the claps sound hollow and distorted. Leah says, "No, we're not part of this. We are not students of this school." The principal leans on the podium and says, "You entered my halls. You stayed till the bell. Now you are mine." Chris says, "We have to break the cafeteria bell, or this will go on forever." Mark, in a desperate tone, says, "But how do we get from this hall to the cafeteria?" Jennifer faintly whispers, "Maybe. If we break the graduation ceremony, the loop can be broken." And at that moment, a blackboard near the stage lights up on its own. It reads, "Final lesson, sacrifice." Everyone looks at each other. Mark whispers, "So we have to sacrifice one, or we all become permanent students." Suddenly, the spirits begin chanting together. "Choose, choose, choose." The lights flicker, and one by one, chairs appear behind the team, as if they are being dressed in graduation gowns and seated into the ceremony. Jennifer screams, "No! We don't belong here." And the principal taps his cane. And suddenly, the faint echo of the cafeteria clock resonates through the hall. 2:47. After a heavy silence in the hall, suddenly all the spirits begin clapping together. Their claps are hollow, like empty drums being struck. The principal standing on stage taps his cane, and another blackboard illuminates. It reads, "Graduates must wear their gowns." And at that moment, black gowns appear behind the team's chairs. Leah screams, "No! They're forcing this on us." but invisible hands lift the gowns and place them on their shoulders. Jennifer screams, the gown sticks to her skin, as if made of tar. Chris's camera glitches, and through the lens, a horrifying sight is recorded. The spirits behind them no longer look like children. Some are adults, explorers, investigators. Mark freezes. Oh my God, people came here before us. And they've all become part of this graduation. Jennifer cries and says, "So, we'll become like the previous outsiders?" Chris shifts his camera angle and sees a familiar face. An investigator he had seen in a documentary, who mysteriously went missing. Now he too is a spirit wearing a gown. His black eyes clearly visible under the white mask. Leah whispers, "This isn't an ordinary curse, it's a machine. It traps every new outsider and makes them a permanent student here." The principal says in a loud, echoing voice, "Graduation means forever." Suddenly, a bell rings, a graduation-style bell. And the spirits begin chanting together. "Join us, forever students, forever students." Mark struggles and tries to remove his gown, but it tightens even more. Jennifer says, "Mark, we have to break that bell. The cafeteria's main bell is the anchor of the loop." Leah, in a desperate tone, says, "But we're trapped in this hall. How do we get back to the cafeteria?" Chris zooms his camera behind the stage and sees a faint glowing door. Jennifer whispers, "Maybe that's the way to the cafeteria." But the principal stands in front of that door. Red glowing eyes, tapping his cane on the floor. The floor begins to crack, and a black void appears beneath them. Faint echoes of falling objects are heard from the void, as if others fell there and vanished forever. The chanting of the spirits grows louder. "Graduate, graduate, graduate." Jennifer, with her last strength, screams, "No! We will not graduate." And suddenly, her gown tears. But deep black marks appear on her skin, as if the gown left its mark inside her. The principal roars in rage, and the entire hall goes dark. And only the loud echo of the cafeteria bell is heard. 2:47. The entire hall is pitch black silence. Only a loud echo resonates. 2:47. Jennifer, breathing heavily, says, "That glowing door, that's our last chance." Mark pushes the torn pieces of his gown aside. "We have to bypass the principal. Otherwise we'll never reach that door." Leah, in a shaky voice, says, "What if that door is a trap? What if we fall straight into the void instead of the cafeteria?" Chris picks up his camera and says, "We're already trapped, we have to take the risk." Then a sharp cane tap echoes. A red glow blooms behind the stage, and the principal appears again. This time his body looks distorted, as if multiple shadows are moving together. His voice echoes, "No student leaves before graduation." And all the masked students rise from their chairs and move toward the center of the hall. Their gowns flutter, and they slowly start chanting, "March! March! March!" The team realizes they are forming a barrier to reach the door. Jennifer whispers, "We have to break the line, or we'll never get to the door." Mark turns on his flashlight and shines it on a spirit's face. The spirit screeches and falls back. A small gap forms. Chris shouts, "Run! Now!" Everyone sprints toward the glowing door, spirits aggressively moving behind them. Leah almost falls, but Jennifer grabs her hand and pulls her up. As they reach the door, the principal lets out a deafening scream. The floor of the entire hall begins to shake. The cafeteria bell's echo grows louder. 2:47, tick, tick, tick. Jennifer pushes the door handle, but the door locks. A message faintly glows on the wall. Only one may enter first. Mark, in rage, says, "What? So sacrifice again?" Leah screams in panic. "It always demands leaving one behind." Chris, in a desperate tone, says, "Someone has to go in, or we'll all be trapped." After a moment of hesitation, Jennifer says, "I'll go. If I enter, maybe the door will unlock for everyone else." Mark yells, "No! We're not leaving you behind." Jennifer looks at him and whispers, "If I don't go, we'll all become permanent graduates here." With trembling hands, she pushes the glowing handle, and a blinding light spreads. The door slowly opens, and inside, the faint outline of the cafeteria is visible. Jennifer looks back at her team one last time. "Break the bell, please." Her footsteps vanish into the door, and suddenly the door slams violently shut. The remaining team screams. Jennifer. New. On the stage, the principal laughs sinisterly. One graduate, the rest must wait. And the clock ticks. 2:47. After the blinding light, Jennifer finds herself standing in the cafeteria. The tables are completely empty. Yet there's no dust, as if students had just left after lunch yesterday. The air carries a faint smell of burnt food and bleach. And on the wall ahead, that giant bell hangs. The bell is completely rusted, but children's names are carved into it. Dozens, hundreds, all missing kids from small towns across the USA. Jennifer slowly approaches. Her hand touches the surface of the bell. And suddenly a loud whisper echoes. "We live inside." Jennifer recoils in shock. The bell violently vibrates, and ghostly screams emerge from within. She realizes, this isn't just a bell. It's a cage for all those student souls. Her ears begin to bleed from the intensity of the bell. Jennifer desperately pulls a small hammer from her backpack and strikes the bell. A deafening scream echoes through the cafeteria, and suddenly a black liquid oozes from inside the bell. As the liquid hits the floor, it transforms into crawling hands, moving toward her. Jennifer is terrified. She tries to strike the bell a second time, but the hammer breaks, and the bell vibrates even more, as if it's alive. Then a shadow emerges from the corner of the cafeteria. It is a child's shadow, but its face is covered by a white mask and its eyes are hollow black. It whispers, "Don't break us. Free us." Jennifer is confused. "Free? You mean I shouldn't destroy the bell?" The shadow slowly says, "If you destroy, the souls shatter forever. You must ring, not break." Jennifer understands. "So I have to ring the bell. To release their souls, destroying it would permanently annihilate them." But at the same moment, the principal's shadow appears behind the bell. His tall figure looks even more monstrous, and his voice shakes the entire cafeteria. "Ring it, and you join them forever." Jennifer's heart races. She faces two choices. Either destroy the bell and annihilate all the souls, or ring it and risk becoming trapped with the souls herself. The black liquid hands grab her ankles, pulling her down. Jennifer screams. Using her last strength, she grabs an iron rod and strikes it against the bell's clapper. A thunderous sound echoes through the cafeteria. All the lights shatter, windows break, and hundreds of children's voices shout together, "Free! Free! Free!" Jennifer collapses to the ground, blood running from her ears. A blinding white light spreads from inside the bell. The souls are released one by one, flowing out like a river of white smoke from the cafeteria. Jennifer whispers faintly, It's working. But at that moment, the principal screams in rage. No! My students. My power. His shadow collapses in the center of the cafeteria and crawls directly toward Jennifer. Jennifer, in her last breath, tightly grips the rod, trying to save herself. But the principal's black shadow engulfs her completely, and the cafeteria vanishes in a blinding flash. And the clock ticks. 2:47. Silence fills the graduation hall. Then a deafening roar echoes, as if hundreds of souls are screaming together. The spirits that had been chanting, their gowns start to dissolve, rising as white smoke into the air. Leah, in a shocked voice, says, "Oh my God, the souls, they're being freed." Chris zooms in with his camera lens, clearly capturing in frame the spirits' hollow black eyes slowly returning to normal, as if they're finally escaping the curse. Mark, in a desperate tone, says, "Jennifer must have rung the bell. She did it." But at the center of the hall, another scene unfolds. Near the stage, the principal's shadow violently twitches, as if he's losing his power. His tall frame begins to crack, and pitch black smoke emits from within. He screams horrifically, "No! My students are mine." And at that moment, a familiar voice echoes. Jennifer's. Faint, but clear. "Run, there's still time." Leah, in tears, says, "She's alive. Jennifer is alive." Mark shouts, "Jennifer, where are you?" Suddenly, behind the stage, a faint silhouette appears. Jennifer's body, but her half-face is black-veined, half-normal. She struggles, as if the principal's shadow is trying to merge inside her. Jennifer screams. Ringing the bell frees them. But the principal has trapped himself inside me now. Chris, shocked, says, "So he absorbed all the evil energy." Leah, in fear, says, "If he stays in her too long, Jennifer will become like him." The principal's distorted voice emerges from Jennifer's mouth. "Graduate, or die." Suddenly, all the freed spirits freeze and circle around Jennifer's body, as if she is deciding whether to save herself or let him take over. Mark tightens his fists and says, "No, we will not let Jennifer be sacrificed. If she becomes the principal's cage, the curse will start again." Leah, in panic, screams, "But how do we save her? He's inside her." Jennifer struggles, faintly whispering, "Library, hidden book, it has the ritual that can separate my soul." Chris drops his camera and says, "Library? Now!" In all this chaos, Jennifer's body begins to collapse, her eyes turning pitch black. The principal says, "Class dismissed," and the hall violently shakes. Chairs float into the air, masked students dissolve, and the floor cracks as if a void is consuming everything. Mark screams, "We have to go. Library. Now!" Leah looks at Jennifer, tears streaming down her face. "Hold on, Jen, we're not leaving you behind." The team lifts Jennifer's half-possessed body and runs toward the hall's exit amidst the chaos. The clock echoes. 2:47, tick, tick, tick. The team drags Jennifer through the dark hallway. Ceiling cracks everywhere, lockers slam shut on their own. Chris, breathing heavily, says, "If we're late, he'll consume us all." Leah tightly holds Jennifer's hand as they move. Jennifer faintly whispers, "Library, East Wing, last shelf." Mark searches the path with his flashlight. At one point he stops and says, "East Wing, that way." The team finally reaches the giant wooden doors of the library. but the doors are automatically locked. Jennifer's black eyes suddenly open, and from within her, the principal's distorted voice emerges. No reading after hours. And the doors violently slam shut. Leah screams. Oh God! He's not letting us in. Mark angrily shoulder barges the door, the wood cracks. And on the third push, the doors break open. Inside, the library scene is horrifying. All the books are old, emitting a burnt smell. Some are scattered on the floor, and a faint red glow comes from the back corner. Chris records with his camera and whispers. The red glow, maybe that's the ritual book. The team quickly runs toward the corner. There is a heavy black leather book, chained to the shelf. Embossed on the cover is the principal's oath. Leah, trembling, says, "This has to be it, the curse's true ritual." Mark tries to break the chains. Suddenly his hand burns, the chains glow. Jennifer crawls on the floor. Half herself, half under the principal's control. Her mouth, in a distorted voice, says, "Don't open it, or you'll take my place." Leah, in shock, says, "So if the book is opened, whoever performs the ritual becomes the principal's host." Chris lowers his camera and says, "So to save Jennifer, one of us has to sacrifice. Someone becomes the principal to absorb the curse." Silence falls heavily. Mark grits his teeth and says, "I'll do it. I'll become the principal. Only then will Jennifer be free." Jennifer faintly shakes her head. "No, you shouldn't do it." Leah, tears in her eyes, says, "If you go, we'll all be finished. We can't survive without you." Chris whispers, "So this is the real curse rule? A new principal must always be chosen. One sacrifice to hold the souls for the next 30 years. Mark tries to break the chains. Finally they snap and the book falls to the floor. As the book opens, a blast of black smoke spreads throughout the library. The pages begin flipping on their own. A ritual diagram glows, reading, "The host must accept. One to hold. One to free." Leah cries out. So one must be the host and one the bell ringer. The curse won't break without both. Chris, trembling, says, "Jennifer already rang the bell. So now the host must be chosen." Jennifer screams, black veins spreading across her face. "Hurry! If you don't choose, he'll take me completely." The principal's distorted voice grows deafening. "Choose, or all graduate together." The library violently shakes. Books float off the shelves into the air. The clock starts ticking. 2:47, tick, tick, tick. The library shakes violently. Books float in the air. And black smoke crawls out from cracks in the floor. Jennifer struggles on the floor. Her eyes flickering between black and normal. Her voice is mixed, half her own, half the principal's distorted echo. "Choose, or we all graduate." Leah, crying, says, "We'll all die if a decision isn't made now." Mark places his hand on the glowing pages of the ritual book and says, "I'll do it. I'll become the host. I have to take him. There's no other way to free Jennifer." Chris shouts, "No! You can't do this. We're all depending on you. If you go, the group will collapse." Leah, desperate, says, "I'll do it. I'll absorb him into myself. Just save Jennifer." Jennifer faintly whispers, "No, you all have to survive, please." Suddenly, the pages of the ritual book glow brighter, and a line appears in bold letters. "The willing heart is bound. The unwilling are consumed." Chris freezes. So, if someone willingly becomes the host, The curse remains controlled if someone avoids the choice. The principle consumes everyone. The clock echoes loudly. 2:47, tick, tick, tick. Mark places his hand on the ritual circle. Tears in his eyes. Jennifer is my responsibility. I can't leave her alone. If I must become darkness for her, then I will. Leah screams. No! Mark, don't. Before she can stop him, Mark loudly recites the ritual words. I accept the oath. Suddenly, black smoke violently enters his body. His scream echoes throughout the library. His body shakes, his eyes turn pitch black. Veins spread across his arms. Jennifer collapses with relief, her black veins dissolve. She begins breathing normally again. Leah runs to her. Jen. You're okay, you're back. Jennifer weakly says. Mark, where's Mark? Chris raises his camera, focusing. Mark now stands in the center of the ritual circle. His face half human, half shadow, his eyes glowing red. He speaks in a calm, firm tone. Class is safe, but I am no longer a student. Leah cries. Mark, you didn't have to do this. Jennifer reaches her hand toward him. Come back, please. Mark gives one last smile and says, The bell has rung, you're all free, now go. Suddenly, the library doors swing wide open. Bright morning sunlight floods in. Leah and Jennifer, in shock, glance at each other. Chris whispers. Sunlight, this is real. The curse is finally broken. The team runs toward the doors. Jennifer glances back one last time. Mark stands in the ritual circle. Slowly his body fully turns into shadow. And behind him, the shattered principle dissolves. Tears in Jennifer's eyes. Thank you. She steps through the door. And suddenly everything turns bright white. Morning, outside the abandoned school. Leah, Jennifer, and Chris collapse on the grass, breathing heavily. The sky looks normal for the first time. Birds chirp, and the clock finally moves. 2:48. Jennifer, in tears, whispers. We made it, but Mark. Chris turns on his camera, but the lens captures one last horrifying glitch. In the shattered window of the abandoned school, a silhouette stands. Tall, with red glowing eyes. Mark. And a faint echoing voice whispers. Class begins, again.